Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zaid. Here we are with our beloved brothers, a former graduate, esteemed colleague, esteemed guest here at Madinah ibn Taymiyyah, whose name is Haneef Muhammad Bashir. And you know we have with me my sahib.
Isa Abu Isa, assalamu alaikum.
We're going to conduct, inshallah ta'ala, an interview with our beloved brother. And we ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to, reward him and to, protect him from all evil and to raise him in knowledge and for, and also thanking him for allowing us to conduct this interview. Can you please give us a little background about yourself and who you are?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'a huda amma ba'd. Yes, my name is Haneef Muhammad Bashir, from Cleveland, but my family is originally from Jamaica. Was born Muslim, but started practicing when I was around 17, 18. Shortly after that, I got married. Then I went overseas to Egypt for 1 year. After that, I went to Saudi Arabia to do my studies in the Islamic University of Madinah. Graduated in, 2010 from the College of Hadith. After that, I spent 2 years in Saudi Arabia before leaving. And I went to the UAE, lived in Ajman, worked in Sharjah, or Sharjah as it's called, teaching English and Islamic studies there. And now I'm here, alhamdulillah, back in the States. I'm the imam of a startup project in Cleveland, for 1 week, and then in another week I am in Jersey, in Atlantic City, being the imam there as well.
So, how about some of your academic accomplishments?
I mean, academic accomplishments outside of Islam, not really much to speak of, really. I mean, right now I am trying to get a degree in IT. So, inshallah, hopefully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that easy for me. As for Islamic accomplishments, in Islamic studies, other than my degree, I am trying to go back to school actually to try and see if I can get a master's in Sharia or Hadith. So inshallah, I haven't decided how I'm going to accomplish that yet though, but that is in the cards, inshallah.
Now, what made you pursue knowledge abroad?
Well, the imam in Cleveland was from Egypt, that from the local masjid that we attended, and we were learning Arabic from him, and he was from Scandaria, or Alexandria, and he would advise us to continue our studies and things like that. So when 9/11 happened, we had all made the plan to go to Egypt to try and get some Arabic and things like that, and of course, because of 9/11, I was supposed to leave the same week, that weekend of 9/11. Had to postpone my flight to the next week. I left on that Tuesday after that, and I stayed. Once I got to Egypt, I was in Qahira, or Cairo, and I was going to, at that time, the Fajr Center. Money ran low, so I had to switch from the Fajr Center to the cheapest thing they had. So there's a lot of those ma'ahid around, in Egypt that were cheap. I think at that time I was going to one called Iqra that was using Kitab al-Asasi as their main book. And, really at that time I actually learned more outside of the ma'had than actually inside. Then, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me to find a brother that helped me get back into the Fajr Center, where I was able to complete to level 7. And during that time, I went through, with the financial troubles and things like that, I started to decide, what I wanted to do, because, I had no money. So it was either go back to the States or continue, but continue for what? So it was during that time, I was really like, trying to review my qasd, what's my intention behind what I'm doing and stuff like that. With the hardship and stuff like that, is it worth it? So, during that time, I decided I wanted to seek ilm. It wasn't just about just learning Arabic anymore. I wanted to learn about my religion. And why not in Egypt? You know what I'm saying? Because initially I only wanted to go there to learn Arabic. But, after being there, seeing that, the books are available, the classes are available, and things like that, I was like, I could do more than just learn Egypt here. I could have a life here. Now, this is before I knew that I was accepted to the university. So I had already made plans to stay in Egypt, finish my language, and then just continue seeking ilm, memorizing the matun, the different text, and so forth. So once I decided that seeking ilm was something that I wanted to do, once I got accepted to the university, it just made sense to keep going in that route.
What would you say was your most difficult time spent abroad?
My most difficult, I think, would be when I was in Egypt, and with the financial troubles that I went through there. Like unlike some places where the brothers, they have backing from their community. Cleveland is small, and everybody really is basically worried about what's going on with them and stuff. So even though there was a whole bunch of us, we went to Egypt at the same time. There's like 10 of us. So the people back home, they were just supporting the people that they could, and so my parents, they tried to help me out when they could, but and in fact, because of my conditions that I was living in, was one of the reasons why I had to get a divorce and stuff like that. So the wife, she couldn't take the issues that was going on at that time, so she asked to be released and go back home. And when I was there, now it got worse once I was divorced, because now I'm single and nobody care about a single brother and stuff like that they would a married brother. You know what I'm saying? Because the sister and stuff like that, they feel for her. Yeah. So it was just my father was helping me out. He would send me some money anytime he could. I just remember sometimes just only having enough money to buy khubz, buy bread and fool, and that's in the morning. That same bread, and the same bread, full and Taymiyyah, I would have to eat it throughout the day, and I didn't have a fridge. So by Isha time, the thing is spoiled, has a bad smell to it, but no money to buy more. So in the stomach it goes, and and that was going on for a while and stuff, but even though with the difficulty that was going on in Egypt as far as financial, I felt that I benefited more as far as tarbiyah, this tazkiyah of the nafs, and cultivating myself to seeking knowledge than at any other point in my talab.
Alhamdulillah, that was mashallah.
That was beautiful.
No, it was. What would you say was your what part of your studies did you struggle with learning and retaining the most? Like, what part of your studies?
The beginning, when I was learning Arabic in Egypt, the first 3 levels of the Arabic program was easy. I was getting A's and I'm saying 100% and stuff like that. But once we got into Arab, because Arab started like in level 4, level 5, man, I started wondering whether or not I was even getting the information.
I know, man.
My grade went from A, now it was B. The next class was C and stuff like that. And
yeah, I remember, man.
And and when I finally left Egypt and stuff like that, I left with the impression that I didn't really retain a lot of information. It was only after when a brother was like, why don't you teach me, what you learned and stuff like that I noticed that the information was starting to come back. I was like, oh man, I know this, I know that, and I was just able to, things were just coming back that I thought that I didn't even retain or I had lost. So, alhamdulillah.
Arab definitely, yeah.
Yeah, Arab gets you, man. Arab, subhanallah.
MashaAllah.
Arab gets you, man. Which one of your teachers influenced you the most?
Oh, that's easy. 2 teachers influenced me the most. One, I really had and I still do have a personal relationship with him, Sheikh Khalid al-Radadi, mashallah. Because as soon as I came into the university, he was actually my kitaba teacher. He was teaching me writing, which was something that he wasn't supposed to teach.
No.
You know, but we at that time when I came to the university, our writing teacher, there wasn't one. So they had to put him in that place, and you could tell he didn't really enjoy that and stuff like that. But we, as new students, and we knew the name and stuff like that, Sheikh Khalid is known, and we were just amazed and just delighted that we had this person being our teacher.
No.
You know, so mashallah, you know, he advised me a lot throughout my studies, and I stayed in contact with him even to this day and stuff like that. Alhamdulillah, you know what I'm saying? I reach out to the Sheikh every now and then. You know, he asks about me, I ask about him, alhamdulillah. The other person that influenced me in my talib is Sheikh Ubaid. Being that, you know, I sat with him longer than anyone else.
Sheikh
You
Ubaid
know,
al-Jabiri.
yeah, Sheikh Ubaid al-Jabiri. You know, I mean, mashallah, Allah yahfadhu, wa yujzihi al-khair. You know what I mean? Because with Sheikh Ubaid, you know what I'm saying, alhamdulillah, I was able to sit with him pretty much once I got to the university. So even though I was in the language program, I went to the level Mustawa Awal, but I already had some Arabic. Not good, but, you know, good enough to sit and benefit what I could and stuff like that. So, you know, for like 4 years straight from my from my talib in the university, I was sitting with Sheikh Ubaid, not missing not one class, not one khutbah.
Barakallahu feek.
Alhamdulillah.
That's Jamil, mashallah. Sheikh Khalid Radadi and Sheikh Ubaid.
Allah yafiduhum.
Mashallah.
Allahumma.
Which can you tell us about a time when you learned something or had a realization through an experience where you had like one of them aha moments, so to speak?
There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those. I mean, there's a couple times, you know, I think one of the main things, I think, and I tell people this all the time, was we were sitting with Sheikh Ubaid one day, and he was asked about, you know, how do you know when someone is upon Salafiyyah and stuff like that. And his answer was just so basit. It was so simple that I just couldn't believe how, you know, I missed it. You know, he was saying that, you know, if someone's actions and statements is according to the book of Allah and the Quran, then he's upon Salafiyyah and stuff like that. And that's the criteria that a lot of people they you know what I'm saying, they leave that. And I think that sometimes they leave that because it's so difficult for some people to know whether or not someone is compliant with Quran and Sunnah, that they have these other steps that they put in there and stuff. But I mean, really, when you look at their action and speech, and if it's in line with that which, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the Quran, the Sunnah is upon, and the understanding of the companions, and khalas, you know what I'm saying, that is sufficient as a tazkiyah for what he's upon and stuff.
No.
And you know that, and I stick by that to this day, and I try to, you know, tell the people that, you know, that want to know how Salafiyyah can be recognized and how it can be implemented and what it is. That's the simplest thing: Quran and Sunnah, understanding of the Salaf.
Amongst the callers here in Philadelphia, did you come across any of them in your studies abroad? And if so, can you please elaborate?
Let me see. I mean, like in Philadelphia, I guess you guys like have Hassan al-Somali. Now, Hassan Somali, I never said 2 words to him, but I remember one time I was with Sheikh Khalid al-Radadi, and he came into the room when I was reading something to the Sheikh, and they had like some type of, it was him and Tahir at that time. They came into the room when I was reading to the Sheikh, and the Sheikh, like they went off to the corner somewhere and they spoke. And I think that same day or that same week, I also saw him in a sitting of Sheikh Ubaid. But as far as conversation-wise, I haven't spoken to any of the callers here. Oh, wait a minute. But there are some. I'm sorry. I forgot that I know Abdul Razak, Hamza.
Hamza Abdul Razak.
Yeah, I spoke to him a couple times. Been to his house, you know. And that's it. I mean, Tahir, I spoke to him once or twice, I think. You know, actually, the only real conversation I had with Tahir was actually, it's kind of a funny story, was when he heard that I was talking about him. You know, so he had it was like after Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi had a sitting, you know, and Tahir was there. Now this is like my second year, I think, in the university. Now, so I'm just chilling, you know, listening to the Sheikh, you know, discuss the issues or whatever like that. then after I was actually surprised to see Tahir there, because after you hear what people are saying about him, you think he'll never sit with a sheikh or be in the same room with one and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, this is surprising. So anyway, after the class and stuff like that, I'm ready to go home. He approaches me. I heard that you've been talking about me. I'm like, what do you mean I've been talking about you? What I'm saying? When I hear you, they say that I'm not Salafi. I was like, man, that's not what I said. And then I knew what happened, the conversation that happened that made him thought I said that. I said, what I say about you is that I don't see the brothers from Philadelphia that I know to be upon Salafiyyah. And then when I said that, he said that, he advised me about, backbiting and things like that, and speaking without knowledge and stuff like that. And, it was kind of fun that even those words were like known. Everybody knows about backbiting and stuff, but when he said it, it kind of impacted me a little bit. It was like a little hope in my, like, man, subhanAllah, that's something I got to really, make sure that, I don't fall into and stuff.
So this next question is, what is your advice for the Muslim here in the West on how they should receive their brothers Tahir Wyatt and Muhammad Munir?
I mean, subhanAllah, as far as the Akh Muhammad, mashallah, he was my neighbor when I was in the university. We disagree in everything, pretty much, and we always have munaqashat, which alhamdulillah, it helps strengthen us as tulab and stuff. and I mean, mashallah, he is one of the people that I know to have juhud when it comes to talib. I haven't met anyone his likeness when it comes to his diligence in seeking knowledge and going through the books and doing the research. And he encouraged me, and I hope that I was an encouragement for him too as well when we were in that stage in our talib. These people, at least, especially, I can't really speak that much of Tahir because I don't know him that well, but as far as Mufti Muhammad Munir, he's a person and stuff like that strives to be in accordance to the manhaj of the Salaf. So I think that people, when it comes to him, to do what Sheikh Ubaid says, check their statements and their actions. And if those statements and actions are in line with the Quran and Sunnah, فَبِهَا وَنِعْمَةً. And if it is not, then, like everyone else, their statement is rejected if it's not in accordance to the Quran and Sunnah.
Have you received any advice from the scholars abroad on how to face the present-day fitna in Philadelphia, other than...
Not that question. This question.
What is your advice to the Muslim who resides in Philadelphia or the surrounding areas in regards to the Free Public Islamic Library here at Mahad Ibn Taymiyyah?
I mean, al-ilm, when it comes to knowledge, especially that which is pristine and from the methodology of the people of the past, then a person should be diligent and strive to take advantage of it. And the books that are offered here, if the person does not have those books themselves, this is a good place to be able to go, do some research, do some reading. Inshallah ta'ala, the brothers are trying to provide a comfortable and welcoming atmosphere for someone who wants to learn to do so. So definitely that, the brothers should come here, or the sisters, to come here and benefit as much as they can from the religion, to try to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
We ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to reward our brother Haneef Muhammad Bashir, former graduate of Medina, for allowing us to conduct this interview. Also, alhamdulillah, the purpose of these interviews, by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala, we have many more coming, is to inspire us and also to take an insight and get to know these individuals that Allah blessed to go abroad and study this religion and to come back to teach us. And also allow us to, they to be an influence on us and be inspired by their stories. I am inspired already. The brother, alhamdulillah, has mentioned some beautiful stuff and some beautiful points, showing that there is going to be, as we read in the books a lot, sometimes I like to bring it to real time, there's going to be some hardship, as the brother said. You're going to go through some financial difficulties. You're going to go through some disagreements with your brothers. But yet and still, you got to still keep continuing with a pure niyyah, pure intentions. You're going to meet some beautiful mashaykhs, some beautiful scholars. There's going to be certain things you're going to take from their character, certain things you're going to take from their advice. And this is what I got from the brother, alhamdulillah. Inshallah ta'ala, stay tuned, inshallah, for more stuff and more projects that we have down here at the non-profit Ibn Taymiyyah Learning Center. Jazakallah khairan.